investigate his joint.
All right, you have been watching President Biden as he addresses the nation following the midterm elections. He's wrapping up questions from reporters right now. He said it was a, quote, strong night for Democrats and said he plans to run for re-election. We'll have much more on what the president had to say coming up in just a few minutes. WAAY 31 News at 4 starts right now.
You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 News at 4 starts now.
A scare in the Madison County School District. A Hazel Green High School student arrested after being found with a loaded gun.
Keep the faith and keep looking up.
Just hang in there a little bit longer.
Many midterm races still too close to call. Control of Congress and the future of President Biden's agenda hanging in the balance.
Once we got started, it was magic.
Remembering the country music legend, we take a look at the legacy Jeff Cook left on his hometown, along with final memories from a lifelong friend. And another warmer than normal fall day across North Alabama. You're taking a live look here above Decatur. We're tracking some much colder weather and a chance for rain as we near the end of this work week. Thanks for joining us for WAAY 31 News at 4. I'm Dan Schaefer. Marie Waxel is on assignment. We begin at 4 with a student arrested after authorities say they found a loaded handgun in his backpack. WAAY 31's Xavier WAAY joins us live outside Hazel Green High School, where that happened this morning, actually. Xavier.
Hey, Dan, first and foremost, it's very important to note that no one was injured as a result of this incident. Now, the arrest took place a little after 9:40 this morning, and that's when school officials became aware from an anonymous tip that a student witnessed another student in possession of a handgun. Now, I spent most of my time out here in Hazel Green today to try to get some sort of reaction from parents and members of this Hazel Green community, and everyone just really seems to be thankful that officers stepped in when they did. Now, once officials became aware, school resource officers, they quickly responded and they put together a plan to retrieve the gun from the student safely. And once the gun was found in the student's backpack, the Madison County Sheriff's Office took that student into custody, and that student's name has not been released at this time. He was removed from the school without incident and will be disciplined according to the Madison County Board of Education Student Code of Conduct. The Sheriff's Office is currently handling this ongoing investigation. When we receive any additional information, we will pass that along to you both live on air and on our website, WAAYTV.com. But for now, reporting live in Madison County, Xavier WAAY, WAAY 31 News.
Thanks, Xavier. We are still working to learn more about this incident, including how and why the student had that gun.
Our democracy has been tested in recent years, but with their votes, the American people have spoken and proven once again that democracy is who we are.
President Joe Biden addressing the nation within the last hour, stressing the red wave many expected out of the midterm elections didn't happen. We're still waiting results from several key races nationwide. Georgia's Senate race is now heading to a runoff. The results of that race, which won't be known now for weeks, could determine which party controls the Senate. After last night's election, the battle over whether Democrats or Republicans will control Congress is still up in the air. ABC's M. Wynn has more from Capitol Hill.
For the second straight election cycle, the hotly contested Georgia Senate race is heading into overtime with the Senate majority potentially on the line.
There will be a runoff. We can look at the outstanding vote totals, and neither one would be over 50%.
Now, Democratic incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican candidate Herschel Walker will face off again on December 6th.
Keep the faith and keep looking up.
Just hang in there a little bit longer.
In the battleground state of Wisconsin, ABC News is projecting incumbent Republican Ron Johnson will defeat Democrat Mandela Barn. But despite that and other losses, Democrats still defy history by not losing large numbers of congressional seats during the midterms, when their party controls the White House, House, and Senate. In Pennsylvania, Democrats clinched a victory with Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman beating his Republican challenger, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Oz, who is backed by former President Trump, conceding to Fetterman this morning.
Yeah, I think it was a really bad night for Donald Trump. I think Biden actually had a really bolstering night.
Sources telling ABC News former President Trump was fuming as the results came in, especially after his political rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, easily won re-election. At the White House, President Biden contacting Democrats who won and lost their races, tweeting out, "Democracy doesn't happen by accident. We have to defend, strengthen, and renew it." At least 14 of Trump's hand-picked candidates are projected to lose their election bid, according to ABC's count. Analysts say it was a good night for President Biden and Democrats, despite Biden's approval ratings being underwater. Emlyn, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
As expected, Republicans won big in races here in Alabama. Katie Britt became the first woman elected to the U.S. Senate from our state. She took nearly 70% of the vote against Democratic nominee Will Boyd. Britt will fill Richard Shelby's seat after his retirement. Britt is Senator Shelby's former chief of staff. And it was more the same in the race for Alabama's governor. Incumbent Kay Ivey racked up nearly 70% of the vote as well. Ivey dominating the race against Democratic nominee Yolanda Flowers, who became the first black woman to win a major party's gubernatorial nomination in the state. New shoes will now have to be filled for the position of Madison County Chairman. Dale Strong was elected to Congress to serve Alabama's 5th district. Strong had a strong showing with 67% of the votes, defeating Democrat Kathy Warner Stanton and Libertarian Philip Greer. WAAY 31's Olivia Schuler was at the commission meeting and learned what's ahead in filling his role.
Dale Strong won't have a say in who is selected as the new Madison County chairman, but says Governor Kay Ivey is aware of the direction Madison County is headed. Since winning his seat in the House, Strong says he's confident that whoever takes over his role will continue pushing Madison County to new heights. Some of what's on top of the commission's agenda right now is building a new courthouse, broadband for the county, and transportation projects. Strong says the new chairman will have to keep on these tasks while working as a team player with other commissioners. He says in the last 2 decades, he's seen Madison County flourish, but that didn't come easily.
We've worked way too hard to get Madison County where it is today, and so the demeanor of that person is going to be very critical, working with everybody here in Madison County and also in our region, because that's where we made the difference.
Strong will officially resign January 2nd and be sworn into Congress the very next day. Governor Ivey will appoint a new chairman in the coming months. For Strong, he'll start juggling some of his duties up until the beginning of January. On Monday, he's already headed to Washington, D.C. to meet some of the other newly elected members of Congress. Reporting in Huntsville, Olivia Schuler, WAAY 31 News.
You can find our complete coverage of the 2022 midterm elections, including more results from across the state, on our website, waaytv.com. 7 minutes after 4 o'clock, here's a live look above Muscle Shoals from our WAAY 31 Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. Nice and comfortable fall afternoon across North Alabama. Let's check in with WAAY 31 meteorologist Grace Anello. She's in the Storm Tracker Weather Center monitoring what we can expect for the back half of this work week. Grace?
Yes, Dan, so we've been warm the first few days, and today we're just a touch cooler, but I'm tracking a major change that is coming. Take a look at our newly inducted Albertville camera that's looking absolutely beautiful. We are seeing a few clouds in the sky, but even still, it's plenty of sunshine and blue that's peeking through. Now, I'm going to step off for 1 minute. We seem to be having a little bit of a clicker problem here, but the main story is that we will have temperatures that are seasonable and moderate in the coming days. Now, the big change after that is going to be a major cool off. Now, at least for right now, the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network is completely dry, and it is going to remain that way for the rest of the day. Now, our temperatures are still hanging out on the warmer side. We're at 71 degrees in Huntsville, 64 degrees over in Gunnersville. In Moulton this afternoon, you're at 72 degrees. But we will have a major change heading our way, and of course, we're all keeping our eye on Hurricane Nicole as it is expected to strengthen this afternoon. I'll have a full forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Grace. Nicole moving toward Florida now. NASA targeting the early morning hours of next Wednesday, 1 week from today, for the launch of its Artemis 1 mission. The space agency decided to leave its Mega Moon rocket on the launch pad instead of rolling it back to the vehicle assembly building. On the pad, the SLS rocket is designed to withstand 85-mile-per-hour winds, and we will have more on Nicole, including damage already being done, in just a few minutes. I want to remind you that we are in the fall severe weather season. Make sure you're prepared by downloading our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. It brings weather alerts right to the palm of your hand. It's free to download. Happening now, an investigation is underway after police say 2 people shot at each other in a Walmart parking lot. Athens police say it happened last night after an argument that started inside the store and then moved into the parking lot. Authorities say several vehicles were hit during the shooting. Police say the shooters have been identified. Remembering country music legend Jeff Cook and the legacy he left on his hometown of Fort Payne. Only on WAAY 31, Cook's bandmate from the supergroup Alabama shares his final memories of his lifelong friend. WAAY 31's Nicole Zedek joins us live now from the Alabama Fan Club and Museum after speaking to Teddy Gentry about his memories of performing alongside Cook. Nicole?
It really is a lifetime of memories, Dan. The three founders met in high school here in Fort Payne, and over the past 50 years, they really have become hometown heroes. Many of their mementos from life on the road are inside this museum right here. But Teddy Gentry, the bassist, says it's more than mementos to them. Each country music award and side guitar has a story, and Gentry's grateful he'll always have stories to tell of Cook. Gentry tells me Cook was not only the jack of all trades, rocking the guitar, the fiddle, and hitting the high notes with his voice, but he was also the comedian of the group, always cracking jokes and lightening the mood. While they took the nation by storm with more than 40 #1 hits, including my favorite, Dixieland Delight, and My Home's in Alabama, Gentry says they're still small-town country boys at heart, and he's heartbroken over the loss of his cousin.
50 years. We've been together through good and bad, but mostly good. And only been on the road somebody that long. Can you miss them this bad?
Gentry says he's proud Cook's legacy will continue to impact their hometown of Fort Payne and well beyond, as the whole nation mourns the loss of a country music legend. All more from Gentry about life on the road with Cook and some of his favorite memories in the band. That's tonight on WAAY 31 News at 6. Reporting live in Fort Payne, Nicole Zedek, WAAY 31 News.
Thanks, Nicole. Jeff Cook had been battling Parkinson's and died Monday at the age of 73. Our WAAY 31 Hero Salute of the Day is a family affair. Brittany Richards tells us she's so proud of her husband, Specialist Adam Richards, who served in the U.S. Army with the 16th Military Police Brigade, and their son, Private Matthew Richards, who currently serves as an 11B infantryman. From all of us here at WAAY 31, thank you, Adam and Matthew Richards, for your service. New information on the war in Ukraine. Russia's military announced it is withdrawing from the West Bank region of Kherson. Now, it would be one of the most significant setbacks for Moscow's forces in that 8-month-old war. Kherson is the only regional capital Russian forces captured since the invasion began.
We have the same analysis that Russia has lost a lot, and they have actually dedicated around 80% of the land forces to Ukraine, and they have taken heavy losses, both when it comes to personnel, but also when it comes to equipment, and not least the more advanced precision types of ammunition. So this shows again the gains that Ukrainians have been able to make with the support of NATO allies and partners.
But Ukrainian authorities cautioned against considering the retreat a done deal. President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned of the Russians pretending a pullout from Kherson only to lure the Ukrainian army into an entrenched battle in that strategic industrial port city. Lawyers for WNBA star Brittany Griner say she was sent to a penal colony in Russia to serve her sentence for drug possession. The vast majority of Russia's prisons are penal colonies where inmates are housed in barracks instead of cells and often put to hard labor. Inmates are often taken vast distances across the country. The journeys to the colonies are dangerous and can last as long as a month. Inmates are often transported in cramped train carriages. Today, President Biden said he hopes Russian President Vladimir Putin will be more willing to negotiate Griner's release now that the midterm elections are over. New details: the Federal Reserve's war on inflation has driven credit card rates to their highest levels on record. According to Bankrate.com, the average credit card annual interest rate climbed to 19.04%. That's the highest since the service's database began tracking it in 1985. It beats the prior record of 19% set in July of '91. On Wall Street, markets fell with uncertainty about Tuesday's election results. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 647 points to close at 32,614. The NASDAQ Composite Index fell almost 2.5%, shedding 263 points. The S&P 500 lost 80 points, down 2% for the day. Tropical storm Nicole is gaining strength as it moves towards Florida, with where it's expected to make landfall shortly after midnight as a Category 1 hurricane. Millions of people are bracing for this historic storm. Chris Wynn is in Cocoa Beach tracking the storm and why this weather event will be so rare.
Florida is once again bracing for another devastating storm, and this time it's expected to be historic.
I urge Floridians statewide to stay indoors in a safe structure and away from the coastline.
Nicole is forecasted to hit Florida's east coast late Wednesday into Thursday as a Category 1 hurricane. That would make it the first time in 37 years that a hurricane has made landfall in the U.S. in November.
The most recent track shows that it will make landfall in Martin County.
The region can't catch a break as it's recovering from the devastation left behind by Hurricane Ian. It's now bracing for more damage, possible tornadoes, and widespread power outages.
Including tropical storm force winds as far north as Jacksonville. Winds are the main concern with Nicole, but we also expect to see some heavy rains, the potential for flash flooding, and 3 to 5 feet of storm surge in some areas.
Evacuation orders are in place for several counties, with some airports shutting down operations in preparation. A total of 23 school districts are expected to close Thursday as officials urge all Florida residents to take precautions before it's too late.
There may come a time during and after the storm that local governments cannot immediately send first responder into harm's way to assist you. So therefore, make sure you have everything that you may need.
In Cocoa Beach, Florida, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
Weather coverage you can count on with meteorologist Grace Anello and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Well, we're looking absolutely beautiful all across North Alabama and southern Tennessee today. It's crazy to say this at this hour, but we're already starting to see the beginnings of that sun wanting to set in some of our regions. Now, there is a little bit of cloud cover up above, but at least the WAAY 31 storm tracker early warning radar network is completely dry. And spoiler alert, it's going to stay that way for the rest of today and into tomorrow. Now, our temperatures right now, where they have been for much of the week, are still on the warmer side of things. We're talking about 71 degrees in Athens, 70 in Scottsboro, and 69 degrees in Moulton. Evening to you. I guess I'm a little late on the day. Well, if these warm temperatures are making you want to be outside and feel like a summer barbecue, well, you'll have a good night to do it. By 8 p.m., temperatures will move comfortably into the upper 60s, and we will have a breeze that does stay with us through the night. There will be a little bit of cloud cover, but you will stay dry if the plan is to be outdoors. Well, first thing tomorrow morning, we're actually much cooler than we have been. At 7 a.m., when you're getting the kiddos out the door or yourself off to work, temperatures will be in the low 50s. We will have mostly sunny skies. By the time we get just a little bit later in the morning at 9 a.m., we finally made it into that 60 mark, but that sunshine is going to stay with us for much of the day. Your Thursday high temperature will top out in the mid-70s, so just a touch cooler than where we were Monday and Tuesday. We will have mostly sunny skies with 1 or 2 clouds in the area, and we will hang on to a strong breeze of about 15 to 20 miles an hour, which is going to help us feel a little bit cooler. So if you've been waiting for fall, well, those temperatures are finally on their way. Well, Friday not only brings us the opportunity to say thank you so much to all of our veterans who have served our country, but it also brings in a strong cold front that is going to help us feel like fall on Saturday. So Friday is your last day of moderately warm temperatures. We're talking about 69 degrees there just after lunchtime for your high temperature of the day. And at 4 p.m., we will be in the upper 50s. Now, I am tracking some rain coming into the radar, so I want to walk you through the timing of this. It all starts for us on Thursday at 8 o'clock for some of our counties in the Sand Mountain area. Now, this does stay with us through the overnight hours, bringing heavy rain. And to answer your question, yes, this is all from Hurricane Nicole. Well, by the time we wake up on Friday, most of us are already dry. We are left with cloud cover east of the corridor, but our areas east of the corridor and overnight will see the heaviest rain. The good news is your Friday should be unaffected. And to answer your second question, yes, Friday night football is good to go with dry conditions, but just a few clouds overhead. So Thursday, Friday, we are warm. We will have some rain on Thursday night into Friday. Saturday, that cold front finally hits for us. Wake-up temperatures are in the 30s, and then we'll see high temperatures sustain in the low and mid-50s for the next several days, officially ushering in more fall-like temperatures.
Reducing your risk of cancer. On the other side of the break, we'll take a look at how the foods you put in your body can help you do just that. We're just a few hours away from learning more about Huntsville's next pro team. The professional soccer team will unveil its official name and brand at 6 this evening. The team will play at Joe Davis Stadium after renovations are complete. We'll have more on tonight's announcement during WAAY 31 News at 6. For years, scientists have known obesity leads to an increased risk of cancer, but the question remains, what type of diet can protect you from the risks? With more, here's ABC's Justin Finch.
Fasting, Atkins, and keto are only a few of the recent trends that have become staples of a Western diet culture. A recent study from Sloan Kettering looked at keto and whole foods plant-based diets to determine which of these lowers your risk of cancer. The researchers found both diets help with weight loss and lower inflammation, but the whole foods plant-based diets provide added benefits. Whole foods plant-based diets provide your body with large amounts of fiber and other micronutrients that can help lower your risk of cancer. Talk to your doctor if you have any questions about your nutrition and the best diet for you. With this Medical Minute, I'm Justin Finch.
We are working on news stories you'll see only on WAAY 31 News at 4:30. A student dies at an Alabama high school. A look at the law enforcement response and what authorities suspect happened.
You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 News at 4:30 starts now.
Governor Kay Ivey got back to work hours after celebrating a resounding election victory. New at 4:30, we're on top of the next steps following the midterm election. The WAAY 31 storm team tracking Nicole. We're on top of the impact on Florida beaches and what it means for getting Artemis 1 off the launch pad. Tragedy at an Alabama school, one student dead after an incident in the Selma High School cafeteria. 3 others had to be hospitalized, what state education leaders are revealing. And a possible tragedy averted here. We're on top of a student arrested for carrying a loaded pistol into Hazel Green High School. That school gun scare tops our news at 4:30. Good evening, I'm Dan Schaefer. An observant student alerted Hazel Green school officials about a classmate with that handgun. The school resource officer jumped into action. They questioned the student, searched that student's belongings, and found the gun. The Madison County Sheriff's Office took that student into custody. Sheriff's investigators have taken over the case. That student's name so far has not been released. School officials say the student will be disciplined according to the board's code of conduct. That discipline calls for immediate suspension. That student could be expelled pending a hearing. A student's mysterious death at another Alabama high school brought state law enforcement and educators to Selma. A sophomore student died after an incident in the Selma High School cafeteria, where 3 other students had to be rushed to the hospital. WAAY 31's Nikel Williams joins us in the studio with that story. Nikel?
Authorities say drug use is likely the cause of the student's death and the reason why 3 other students had to be taken to the hospital. Right now, Selma police are working to get toxicology reports back. School leaders call the 16-year-old's death shocking. They're asking for prayers. Selma High School held classes today. It was mainly for other students to have access to grief counselors. Aaliyah is also helping Selma police in this investigation. In studio, Nikel Williams, WAAY 31 News.
Thanks to Nikel. An update now on the flu outbreak impacting Alabama. State health officials say the flu activity is unusually severe in children. Most of the flu going around right now is influenza A, and that strain is covered in the flu shot currently available. Doctors urge parents to get children vaccinated now.
What we do know is that influenza vaccines on average are about 40% effective. It's nothing like our COVID vaccines, which are much more effective. But I will say there have been study after study that have shown that if you get influenza vaccine and if you unfortunately get exposed and get flu, your symptoms are not as severe, and it has a huge benefit of protecting you from hospitalization.
The flu vaccine is available for children 6 months and older. Right now, the Alabama Forestry Commission and volunteer firefighters are on the scene of a wildfire. Forestry Commission estimates that fire covers 75 acres in Marshall County. It's burning near the Morgan County line.
Alrighty, well, we are completely clear and dry on the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network, and we will stay that way for the rest of the day. Now, what has been consistent for us all across North Alabama this week has been our wind, and right now it's at some of its strongest. We're talking about coming out of the east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour, some of us even just a touch more than that. So we are warm today, much warmer than we should be, but we're also feeling breezy, which is definitely a help. In Huntsville right now, you're at 71 degrees. This afternoon. Decatur, you're at the same. Good afternoon to you. Muscle Shoals, you're one of the warmer ones of the bunch at 74 degrees. And then over in Scottsboro, you are at 70 degrees and catching just a hint of a break from some of that heat. Well, as we head through the rest of the evening, we're unfortunately in for a very early sunset thanks to daylight saving ending. By the time we get to 7 p.m., temperatures will be at 60 degrees, and then we will fall to much cooler than we have been for the last few days. Now, I'm going to get you a tropical update and a look at your 7-day forecast, all coming up in just a few minutes.
A Your Voice, Your Vote update. Governor Ivey wasted no time getting back to work after her convincing re-election. Ivey easily defeated Democrat Yolanda Flowers on her way to a second full term in office. She celebrated the win last night in Montgomery, and today the governor traveled to Auburn, where she took part in a groundbreaking for a new Agriculture Department laboratory. Alabama Senator-elect Katie Britt made history. When she takes her oath of office in January, Britt will become the first woman ever elected to the Senate from Alabama. Now, 2 other women from Alabama previously served in the Senate. Both were appointed to the office. Britt won 66% of the vote statewide to easily win the Senate seat and replace retiring Senator Richard Shelby. Statewide, a little more than 1.4 million people voted in the midterm election. That's a turnout rate of about 38%. Some races in neighboring Georgia and across the country still remain too close to call at this hour. That means the balance of power in the U.S. House and Senate is still up in the air. Isabel Rosales has that story.
We are thrilled thrilled at the unexpected high turnout.
Voters showing up at the polls and making their voices heard. Election day is over, but key races remain uncalled as the balance of power in the Senate rests in the hands of a few swing states. A stronger than expected showing for Democrats, blocking a so-called red wave. Still, Republicans remain cautiously optimistic about winning control of the House.
American people are ready for a majority that will offer a new direction.
Despite the battle for control of Congress remaining unsettled, a big boost for Democrats in battleground Pennsylvania. Democrat John Fetterman defeating Republican Mehmet Oz, a Trump-endorsed candidate, in their race for Senate.
I never expected that we were going to turn these red counties blue, but we did what we needed to do.
And a significant win for Republicans in the Sunshine State. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis delivering historic margins in key Democratic territory like Miami-Dade County.
The people have delivered their verdict. Freedom is here to stay.
The critical Senate race in Georgia projected to go to a runoff on December 6th. The showdown between Republican Herschel Walker and incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock may be key to determine which party is in control.
The country is divided, and that's a lot of what we saw last night.
From Capitol Hill, Isabel Rosales, WAAY 31 News.
The economy figured heavily in the midterm vote, and we're seeing signs of just how rough things have gotten for some companies. The parent company of Facebook is laying off 13% of its workforce. Meta says it's cutting 11,000 employees. The deep cuts come as the company's costs and expenses have jumped over 19%. Meta does have a facility here in Huntsville. A Navy engineer and his wife who sold U.S. nuclear secrets faced a judge for sentencing today. ABC's Morgan Norwood reports on what that couple faces for their crimes.
A suburban Maryland couple convicted in a plot to sell our country's secrets about nuclear-powered submarines will spend the next 19 to 21 years in prison. Former Navy nuclear engineer Jonathan Toby and his wife Diana pleading guilty for a second time in September on one count of conspiring to communicate restricted data. A federal judge rejected their first plea deals because she didn't feel the sentences were long enough. A judge sentencing Jonathan Toby to 19 years behind bars.
Judges take a super dim view on people who work for the government in highly classified and important positions, and sensitive positions, when they sell out their country.
According to the FBI, the story begins in April 2020 when the couple reached out to an undisclosed country that sources say was Brazil, pitching the elaborate scheme. At one point writing, "Please forward this letter to your military intelligence agency. This is not a hoax." Up for sale, the design of the Virginia-class nuclear submarine, which utilizes the latest in stealth technology at a cost of $3 billion each.
Submarines are a key component to protecting this country. There's a lot of nuclear weapons, other types of weapons.
The FBI says Toby allegedly left computer files at secret drop-off locations in West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Virginia over several months. His wife, an Annapolis school teacher, at times serving as a lookout. Today, the judge handing down a 21-year prison sentence for Toby's wife, Diana, 3 years more than her husband, saying that she attempted to pin the crime solely on him to avoid prison time herself.
This case sends a message that if you steal sensitive documents from the government, you're going to get severely punished.
In court, Jonathan Toby says he was deeply ashamed of his conduct, blaming it on a mental breakdown, saying, quote, "I failed in my responsibility to the American people to preserve the secrets entrusted in me." I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Major developments in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Russia says it is retreating from a key southern region of Kherson. Russia's withdrawal comes after a meeting of top generals. The Russians say it's because troops can't be fully supplied. Ukrainian intelligence agencies are suspicious about a possible trap set by Moscow. Kherson is important both strategically and symbolically. It was the first major Ukrainian city that Russia captured after the February invasion. A successful capture in space, the crew of the International Space Station brought aboard a Cygnus spacecraft for docking this morning. It was a tricky job. That spacecraft and its more than 8,000 pounds of science experiments and supplies managed to make it to the ISS despite only one of its 2 solar arrays deploying. NASA allowed the spacecraft to travel onto the space station after deciding it did have sufficient power to finish that journey. People in Florida now bracing for what Tropical Storm Nicole could bring after seeing what the storm dished out in the Bahamas. It's next on WAAY 31 News at 4:30. We're tracking Tropical Storm Nicole moving over the Bahamas right now, heading for a landfall on Florida's Atlantic coast as soon as tonight. Here's a live look right now at conditions near Fort Lauderdale. Wind, waves, and storm surge already beginning to impact the southeast coast of Florida as Nicole moves closer. Even though it's hitting on the opposite side of the state, this storm will impact families who suffered property damage in Hurricane Ian. Many are still trying to clean up damage from last month's powerful hurricane. People living well inland in the city of Bartow, for example, in the center of the state, are in Nicole's path. Even today, there are still tarps on roofs and debris piled up along roadsides there. They're worried about what's to come tonight.
It's kind of nerve-wracking, just exhausting. It's too close together.
Nicole is not as strong as Hurricane Ian, but utility crews are preparing for a worst-case scenario. Duke Energy is putting crews at staging locations on standby. They have about 400 workers coming in from the Midwest to help if needed. One of the big threats from Nicole is the storm surge. Some people visited Cocoa Beach to see the waves rolling in for themselves. Our partners at the Weather Channel sent Jim Cantori to the beach to give us this update on beach erosion with two storms hitting so close together.
Nicole, already known for its massive surf. Look at this stuff coming in here. We're about the time high tide here in Volusia County, which is Daytona Beach shores where I'm standing. But look at the damage that was done from Ian, okay, a little over a month ago. Now it's getting worse with Nicole. We've got about 24 to 36 hours to go through all of this, and you wonder how much of this kind of hotel frontage, if you will, or oceanside, that's going to be left. You can already see what we're losing. That seawall is just hanging there waiting to fall, and once that goes, it's all sand right up to the base of the hotel. They've already had to sew away and try and sew up, I should say, some part of this where you can see some of these sandbags trying to hold back the water as we speak. So this is the scene across a good chunk of the east coast of Florida. Be careful. It's going to be a long 24 hours, and we're going to lose a lot more beach before all is said and done. In Daytona Beach shores, I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori.
As I mentioned a moment ago, right now Nicole is battering the northern Bahama Islands. This is new video of the high waves crashing ashore in Nassau. You can see the power of those waves. They're smashing into the cars there near the shoreline. That storm was just under hurricane strength as it hit the Bahamas earlier today. NASA is also continuously monitoring weather conditions at the Kennedy Space Center. The Artemis 1 rocket is riding out that storm on the launch pad. NASA opted to keep the rocket in place instead of rolling it back to the vehicle assembly building. Teams plan to begin inspections of the Mega Moon rocket and the launch pad facility once weather conditions improve. There is a 2-hour window 1 week from today when NASA could make its latest launch attempt. Previous efforts to launch the rocket on its maiden test flight were scrubbed due to some technical issues.
Weather coverage you can count on with meteorologist Grace Anello and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Well, we're off to a beautiful sunset here in North Alabama and southern Tennessee. It's crazy to say that so early in the day at 4:47 right now, but the good news is we are still dry. The WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network is continuing to stay dry through tonight, and it will as well for tomorrow. Now, take a look at our temperatures at the moment. We're still on the warmer side of things, but we're starting to see that cool off. And as the sun continues to set, this will only rapidly intensify. Decatur, you're at 71 degrees right now. Over in the Shoals, you're at 74, and one of the warmer ones of the bunch. And in Guntersville, you're on the cooler side of things at 73 degrees this afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. Well, as we head through the rest of your evening, temperatures, like we talked about, will cool quickly. By the time we get to 7 p.m., we're all at about 60 degrees. We will have some cloud cover that stays with us this evening, but even still, it will be a beautiful and dry night. So if you got an itch to get outside and soak up some of the temperatures, well, you'll be dry to go ahead and do that. Now, when you're getting the kids off to the bus stop tomorrow or yourself off to work, temperatures will be in the low 50s, which is significantly cooler than where we were at this point for the last few days. So don't forget to leave the house without grabbing a light sweater or a jacket on your way out. Your Thursday high temperature at 3 o'clock will be in the mid-70s, and then by dinner time, will fall to the low 70s. Now, these temperatures aren't going to stay with us for too long as I'm tracking a major change. I'm also tracking Tropical Storm Nicole that is expected, to impact the eastern shoreline of Florida in the coming hours tonight. I'll walk you through exactly what you need to know with this and tell you everything for your coming week in just a few minutes.
We have this programming alert for you tonight due to coverage of President Biden's post-election day address to the nation this afternoon. Today's episode of Jeopardy did not air in full. That episode will air tonight at 12:36 a.m. It's country music's biggest night. Still ahead, a preview of what you'll see at tonight's CMA Awards.
Let's get a check of Tropical Storm Nicole. Now, it is still a tropical storm, but it is expected to strengthen to a Category 1 hurricane by midnight tonight. This means it will have winds of at least 74 miles an hour. Now, this is going to continue to track north and east and eventually impact Tampa, Florida, on the other side of the state by noon on Thursday. Now, this is going to continue to track north and east. However, the good news is once it does impact land, it will weaken to a tropical depression. So that is certainly the silver lining in this situation. A little bit closer to home, we do have a little bit of rain in our forecast on Friday, along with a cold front that's going to officially usher in more fall-like temperatures. So let's walk through the timing. It starts at 8 o'clock p.m. on Thursday, and then we do have our heaviest band of rain overnight on Friday into the wee hours of the morning. The good news is by the time you wake up on Friday and through the afternoon, we will be completely dry and clear, including for football. Well, we are ushering in more fall-like temperatures starting this weekend. Say hello and enjoy the cooler temps.
Happening tonight, the best and brightest in country music will be in the spotlight. The CMA Awards begin in about 2 hours. Morgan Norwood gives us a preview of the big show.
The biggest night in country music is finally here. The CMA's taking over Nashville, bringing together country music's hottest hitmakers. Luke Bryan returning to host for the second year in a row. The country music legend, no stranger to the CMA stage, but as co-host this year, known for his stardom on a different field, literally.
Peyton Manning's my co-host, and Peyton and I, we've got a good history together, going on a 10-year friendship.
I think the fact that he and I have a history, have a friendship together, hopefully that comes across, and you see that the two of us are going to be having a lot of fun while co-hosting this show.
And when it comes to tonight's live award show, the CMA is promising to bring out the best and brightest, opening with a tribute to country music's queen, the late Loretta Lynn. Then continuing on with performances from Jimmy Allen, Dierks Bentley, and Miranda Lambert. As well as this trio, Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, and Carly Pierce, performing their breakup anthem, You're Drunk, Go Home.
I think it feels very fitting to have three women who have been through hell and back to sing something that's pretty confident and sassy and fun, kind of like an anthem for girls.
I need to spin my wheel. This year's nominees packed with a variety of longtime favorites and country newcomers. Lainey Wilson leads the nominations with 6, including Album of the Year and Female Vocalist of the Year. The coveted Entertainer of the Year category, stacked with superstars. Miranda Lambert, Carrie Underwood, Luke Combs, Chris Stapleton, and Morgan Wallen. The best way to find out who wins? Tune in tonight. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Great idea, Morgan. You can watch the CMA Awards tonight starting at 7 right here on WAAY 31. Still ahead, one student in custody now tonight after one of their peers alerted officials to a handgun, which deputies say was loaded.
You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 News at 5 starts now.
One student is now in custody tonight after one of their peers alerted officials to a handgun, which deputies say was loaded. The Madison County District Attorney is speaking out as former Huntsville police officer and convicted murderer William Darby travels to Birmingham for his appeal tomorrow. Storm surge and strong winds are expected in Florida tonight as Tropical Storm Nicole gets closer to making landfall, possibly as a hurricane, just weeks after Hurricane Ian devastated parts of the state. Thanks for joining us for WAAY 31 News at 5. I'm Dan Schaefer. Marie Waxel is on assignment. A high school student arrested this morning for bringing a loaded gun to school. Authorities say they found it in the student's backpack. Another student alerted school officials about that weapon. WAAY 31's Xavier WAAY joins us live. Xavier, you've been in Hazel Green for much of the afternoon. What have you been hearing?
Yeah, Dan, I've been speaking with parents and people really here in the Hazel Green community, and no one really felt comfortable going on camera, but there wasn't really a sense of panic, and no one was really overly concerned with the situation that happened. In fact, they were really expressing gratitude, stating that they were so thankful that school officials stepped in and saved the day when they did. Also, they were extremely happy that that student stepped up with that see something, say something approach. Now, it is very important to note that no one was injured as a result of this incident, and that arrest it actually took place a little after 9:40 this morning, according to the Madison County Sheriff's Office. Officials say that they received an anonymous tip from a student who witnessed another student in possession of a handgun, and quickly school resource officers responded, putting together a plan to retrieve the gun from the student safely. After the loaded gun was found in the student's backpack, the Madison County Sheriff's Office took that student into custody. He was removed from the school without incident and will be disciplined according to the Madison County Board of Education Student Code of Conduct. That student's name, it has not been released at this time, and the Sheriff's Office is currently investigating this situation. Again, when we learn any new information, we will pass that along to you, both live on air and on our website, WAAYTV.com. But for now, I am reporting live in Hazel Green. Xavier WAAY, WAAY 31 News.
Thanks, Xavier. New at 5, Alabama's Court of Criminal Appeals granting former Huntsville police officer and convicted murderer William Darby oral arguments in his appeal tomorrow in Birmingham. Senior reporter Matt Kroschel caught up with Madison County District Attorney with insight on what these oral arguments mean for Darby's conviction for the 2018 shooting death of Jeffrey Parker while Darby was on duty.
Well, the William Darby case is something that isn't just being watched here closely in the community, but nationwide, with people raising big questions about that conviction and the process to convict the former Huntsville police officer. Here at the Madison County District Attorney's Office, they say that this case is not anything different than what they deal with every day, and this appeal process is also the same. The court's allowing those oral arguments on two questions: whether the circuit court's disabling of video for that spectator room denied Darby of his Sixth Amendment right to a public trial, and whether or not the court improperly refused Darby's request for instructions on the law to the jury about self-defense claims involving an officer.
All cases are appealed. We're not directly involved in the appeal. It's the Attorney General's office handles the appeal, but we're pretty used to this routine. There's nothing about this that's earth-shattering. It's the normal course. So, you know, you look at the merits of the case, and I don't think there's that much in dispute as far as that goes. The appealable issues are really more on the periphery.
And the judges will hear those arguments Thursday morning at Samford University. WAAY 31's crew, we will be there covering it for you with continuing coverage throughout the afternoon. Reporting in Huntsville, Matt Kroschel, WAAY 31 News.
Tropical Storm Nicole is expected to strengthen to a Category 1 hurricane by tonight. Nicole will then make landfall along the Treasure Coast near Fort Pierce. That's Florida's southeast coast. Most of the concerns are about flooding. Storm surge already washing away beaches and threatening structures. Many families are facing orders to evacuate low-lying coastal areas. Gusty winds and pounding surf are already impacting Florida ahead of Nicole's arrival.
People in the impacted areas should continue to pay close attention as the storm progresses. I think we know these things can be dynamic.
Nicole made landfall in the Bahamas earlier today. Right now, thousands of power crews are standing by, waiting to restore electricity in the wake of inevitable power outages. NASA's been watching Tropical Storm Nicole's development. The space agency decided to push the launch of the Artemis 1 mission back to November 16th, a week from today. The SLS and Orion spacecraft you see there will remain at the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center. The rocket is designed to handle 85-mile-per-hour winds on the pad. NASA says winds from Nicole will not exceed the rocket's design specs. At 6 minutes, make that 5 minutes after 5. You're taking a live look here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center with the Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. The comfortable temperatures we've been enjoying are expected to take a dip tonight. Let's check in with meteorologist Grace Anello in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. Grace, what can we expect tonight?
Right, so we're going to be a little bit cooler tonight than we have been the last few nights, Dan. And this is all coming ahead of a major cold front that will come to us later on this week. At least for right now, like Dan said, 5:05, and we're already seeing that sun start to set and give us beautiful views, but also bring night a little bit earlier than what we're used to. Well, our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker early warning radar network is completely dry, and each of our 3 radar systems is going to stay that way through the rest of the night. Now, temperatures are finally starting to cool off, and as that sun gets lower and lower in the sky, we'll start to see this cool become even faster. We're at 61 degrees in Gunnersville, 66 degrees in Moulton. Good evening to you. And here in Huntsville, we're at 63 degrees as well. So things finally starting to cool off just a bit for us. If these warmer temperatures were making you want to go ahead and get outside for a barbecue, well, then you've got pleasant conditions for it. We will move through the 60s as we head through the rest of this evening with pleasant conditions, just a little bit of cloud cover overhead. Well, a touch of that cloud cover is going to follow us into Thursday. We will have a high temperature there in the mid-70s, so we're staying warm, but I'm tracking a major change that's coming before too long. I'll tell you everything you need to know about that, as well as get you a tropical update coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Grace. New at 5, Dale Strong soon will give up his role as Madison County Chairman as the newly elected member of Congress representing Alabama's 5th District heads to Washington in January. His replacement will be appointed by Governor Kay Ivey. WAAY 31's Olivia Schuler attended today's commission meeting. She shows us the next steps to fill Strong's seat as chairman.
For nearly 2 decades now, Dale Strong has been a part of and led the Madison County Commission. He's starting a new chapter now in Washington, but says he's confident whoever takes over his position as chairman will continue pushing Madison County to new heights.
The big thing I want to do is to be sure that the governor makes a decision that works for the people of Madison County. As somebody that understands the role of this job, has the demeanor that I'm telling you right now, it is not an 8-hour day.
Dale Strong says the commission is working on a lengthy list of projects and needs a chairman who will catapult North Alabama to new heights.
We're in a position to build a new Madison County courthouse. We're working on broadband for unincorporated Madison County. We've got about $500 million in transportation projects underway right now.
In the last 10 years, Strong says the difference was made, bringing people together while focusing on making a stronger North Alabama.
We're in the best shape this county has ever been, financially, economic development-wise, law enforcement, you just go down the list.
The chairman is now preparing a letter to Governor Kay Ivey to share the commission's direction. On January 2nd, he will officially resign as Madison County Chairman, and a day later, he'll be sworn into the United States Congress.
We've got 6 great commissioners in there advocating for their districts and doing what's right for Madison County.
Strong will soon step away from Madison County, but now has a mission to serve and represent all of North Alabama.
Everything that we've been a part of from 16 years as a district commissioner to being chairman for the last 10 years, wherever we were, we made it better than where we found it, and that's the objective I've got for Washington, D.C.
Governor Ivey will appoint a new chairman in the coming months. Strong will not have a say in who is chosen, but says that Governor Ivey is aware of the direction Madison County is headed. Now, next on Strong's agenda, he's heading to Washington on Monday. There he will meet some of the newly elected members of Congress. His next step is fighting for committee assignments that will best benefit all of North Alabama. Reporting at Huntsville, Olivia Schuler, WAAY 31 News.
The town of Eider will be receiving several upgrades across town. Governor Kay Ivey announced a grant today which is aimed at cutting energy expenses for local governments, schools, and nonprofits. $40,000 of the more than $460,000 grant will go to Eider. Those funds will upgrade the HVAC and lighting at the town hall, library, fire department, and senior center. Florence police are warning you of a scam going around town. Scammers are calling people and pretending to be with Florence police. In these calls, scammers are saying you have active warrants with a fine that you can pay over the phone. Florence police say they will never call you and ask for payment of fines over the phone. You'll now be able to drop old prescriptions off at the Limestone County Sheriff's Office. A new drop box has been placed in the Sheriff's Office lobby. The USDA grant made that drop box possible. Here's a list of some of the things you can leave inside. Those include vitamins, over-the-counter medicines, prescriptions, inhalers, and more. The Sheriff's Office reminds you, though, that this drop box is not an appropriate place to get rid of syringes. One local World War II veteran is being honored in Guntersville as he reaches a major milestone in his life. And we're still waiting to see who will control Congress, as several key races remain too close to call. And tonight on WAAY 31 News at 6, we remember the legacy of country superstar Jeff Cook by sitting down with one of his bandmates. The Guntersville VA Clinic celebrated a major milestone a little early today with one of their patients. Happy birthday! Thank you. U.S. Army veteran James Carson will be 100 years old this month. The Arab native served in World War II as a radio operator under General Patton. He fought in Europe in the Battle of the Bulge. Mr. Carson credits his long life to the good Lord and not being a big risk taker.
I'm very thankful for it. Yeah, very thankful that I'm still here. I've been through some incidents in time. I've never been one to take a lot of risk. I tried to think things out before I acted, and but it's great to be here, and I'm thankful that I have this privilege.
To hear more about Mr. Carson's service and a museum that he and a few of his friends run in Arab, open this story on WAAYTV.com and on our WAAY 31 News app. VFW Post 6073 will be honoring vets for Veterans Day this Friday. They'll be hosting the event alongside American Legion Post 30. That event will be at the Collins Elementary School Auditorium at 11 that morning. Brigadier General Brad Nicholson from the U.S. Army Security Assistance Command will be the guest speaker. As the early surge of flu and RSV continues, Huntsville Hospital is urging you to not go to the ER unless necessary. They say if you or a child are experiencing flu-like symptoms, you can go to the hospital's fever and flu clinic. You can also go to one of Huntsville Hospital's 3 urgent care locations. Right now, the CDC shows Alabama is one of 3 states with very high flu case numbers. Scottsboro City Schools will remain closed tomorrow due to illness among staff and students. Schools were also closed today, with students participating in remote learning. School system says all campuses will be cleaned thoroughly before in-person classes resume next Monday, November 14th. We have a correction to a story we ran on the Cherokee High School gym yesterday. We incorrectly reported the Cherokee High School gym was closed due to buckled flooring. Well, that problem has been fixed. The school auditorium is closed off in the main building. School leaders closed that area last week based on structural engineers' recommendations due to concerns with parts of the foundation and the main electrical panels in the basement. Now, the state fire marshal inspected the area and will provide a written report to the school on needed repairs to that area. We're happy to set the record straight. After a night of tight midterm races, Georgia's Senate race is headed for a runoff. Neither candidate received 50% of the vote. The runoff will be held on December 6th. Currently, control of Congress is still unclear, with the Senate majority possibly hinging on the results of Georgia's runoff.
Keep the faith and keep looking up. Just hang in there a little bit longer.
Other battleground states include Wisconsin and Arizona. Republican incumbent Ron Johnson is expected to keep his seat in Wisconsin. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman managed to narrowly beat out Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz. Your credit card interest rates are at an all-time high right now. Current interest rates have pushed your card's fees to their highest level on record. Bankrate.com shows an annual percentage rate is currently at just over 19%. Interest rates have continued to climb as the Federal Reserve fights inflation. Employees for Meta may be looking for new jobs soon. Facebook's parent company announced 11,000 people will be laid off, the largest job cut in Meta's history. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says privacy, sales, and competition on TikTok have affected ad sales. Russian troops are starting to withdraw from parts of the Ukrainian city of Kherson. The Russian Defense Ministry says they aren't able to supply certain places in the city. The decision comes as Ukrainian troops advance on the city. Kherson was one of 4 regions illegally annexed by Russia.
Weather coverage you can count on with meteorologist Grace Anello and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Well, the sun is long starting to set, but it's leaving us with a beautiful view and plenty of red in our sky. Take a look at Lake Gunnersville, looking absolutely beautiful with just a hint of cloud cover overhead. The WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network is completely dry and will stay that way for the rest of tonight and into tomorrow morning. Now, our temperatures with the sun are starting to drop. off. And as we do get further and further through this evening, we'll start to see these rapidly cool. We're at 68 degrees in Fayetteville, Tennessee, 64 in Decatur. Good afternoon and evening to you, and 66 degrees over in Moulton. So we're still on the warmer side of things, but there is hope for a cool night ahead. By the time we get to 8 p.m., temperatures will be in the mid-50s, and then it's 10 p.m. before we finally get into the low 50s. Well, your Thursday forecast, whoa, we're moving all over the place there, huh? Well, your Thursday forecast has temperatures again on the warmer side of things. Your high temperature on Thursday at 3 p.m. in the mid-70s, and then by the time we get to dinner time, we're talking about the low 70s. Now, this is going to be one of our last warm days of the week, so if you're liking the warm temperatures, make sure you enjoy tonight and Thursday, because the cool is on the way. Now, Tropical Storm Nicole was just upgraded just minutes ago to officially be Hurricane Nicole at Category 1, meaning that it has 74 or higher mile per hour winds. Now, this is going to continue to track north and east and impact West Palm Beach, Florida later on tonight around the turn of the night. Now, once it impacts, it is going to weaken to what we call a post-tropical depression, which is just one step below a Category 1 hurricane. This is going to track north and east through Tampa and eventually make its way through Georgia and into the Carolinas. Well, as it does that, it is going to bring some rain to us here in North Alabama and southern Tennessee. It all starts for us at about 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, bringing some rain to our southeastern counties. Now, our heaviest rain is going to come overnight on Thursday night into Friday. Take a look at first thing Friday morning. This is 6:30. Now, you can see our heaviest rain is far east of the corridor in Sand Mountain. We're also seeing some sprinkles and some showers just west of us, but it's not the heaviest part of that rain. Now, the good news is that does get out of the way in time for lunch, and even most of that cloud cover does go with it. And then we do have a dry Friday afternoon and evening, including our time for Big Game Friday night and Friday night football. Those games will be good to go. Well, Friday also brings us the chance to thank our veterans for all of their incredible service to our country, and it's one of our last days of warmer temperatures. We'll wake up to temps in the low 50s, and then by the time we get to our high temperature of the day, we will be in the low 60s. Now, just shortly thereafter, we do welcome in a strong cold front into the region that drops our Saturday morning wake-up temperatures into the upper 30s. That's right, you saw that correctly. Over the course of this weekend and the days immediately following it, we will have high temperatures in the low and mid-50s, and these are expected to stay with us through much of November. So if you've been holding on, just waiting for those fall temperatures to finally hit, well, you don't have to wait much longer.
I have a programming note for you tonight. Due to coverage of President Biden's post-election day address to the nation this afternoon, today's episode of Jeopardy did not air in full. That episode will air tonight at 12:36 a.m. Time to pull out the cleaning supplies and deep clean your fridge after the latest CDC outbreak warning. CDC is warning you about a listeria outbreak. They say so far the disease has been found in 7 states. 13 people have been sent to the hospital so far. CDC officials say most people have been getting sick from meats and cheeses at deli counters. Health experts suggest cleaning refrigerators and surfaces that have touched products from delis. Anyone at high risk should also heat their food to at or above an internal temperature of 165 degrees.
With the setting of the sun, we will continue to cool and do so rapidly. By the time we get to 7 p.m., temperatures will be at that even 60 mark, and then just shortly thereafter at 9 p.m., we're in the mid-50s. Now, we will have some cloud cover that follows us through tonight and into tomorrow, all ahead of some rain that comes to us on Friday. That's a little bit of an outflow from what is now Hurricane Nicole. Now, we do have a major cold front moving into the region that same time. That's going to drop our high temperatures into the low and mid-50s starting this weekend and for many of the days following and much of the rest of November. If you've been waiting for fall, it's finally here.
For 24/7 coverage you can count on, local news, breaking news, and severe weather, go to WAAYTV.com. Don't go anywhere. World News Tonight with David Muir starts right now.